welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. As you can see, I'm at home, I'm not at work. It's Sunday, it's currently 7 o'clock in the morning. I've not done any recording at work this week because nothing's really happened, to be fair. So in this video, I'm going to go for a little walk shortly. I've got my hypnotist t-shirt on and my joggers and my barefoot trainers. So I'm going to go for a walk this morning, get some steps in, and I'm going to talk about the government legislation that was passed towards the end of last week, beginning of this week. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm going to have my coffee and head out for a little walk and put the camera on charge. So I'm out. It's a little bit later, I think we're approaching 9 o'clock now. I had to put the camera on charge, so that's why I've left it so long. So I'm heading down to Widewater. It's a little lagoon, sort of goes from Lancing down to Shoreham. So turn the camera around, the other side of those bushes there is the lagoon. So it's a beautiful sunny day, not too cold. I've put my coat on because you just don't know this time of year, do you? Have to watch out for cyclists. So what is this legislation? So on the 9th it says legislation went through government to give powers to local authorities to run bus services. It's part of it says it's part of a long-term plan, or a plan, it doesn't say long-term, so who knows what the timescale is going to be, to bring bus services back into the public sector to improve services in areas that aren't currently served, where services have been withdrawn, ironically because of the council withdrawing funding, and also to give a safer and a safer experience, I can't think of the actual word that they use, for both bus drivers and passengers. So what does this mean? Well, I think in short, there's the lagoon over there, got some swans down there. Yeah, in short, it means that it looks like the start of renationalisation of the bus industry. Obviously, this is just my opinion, nothing solid, but it certainly looks that way. I've spoken to a couple of other people and they say the same. So yeah, quite how they'll do it is anyone's guess. Personally, I think that they'll start by withdrawing the funding that they currently give, possibly, but then I'm not sure they will, because if they're already putting funding into the bus services, then in theory they'll be able to purchase or compensate cheaper than if they're not, because they're already paying into it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think we will start to see council-run services most likely on routes that are currently contracted out to the private sector. I think that'll be the start to move, the first move over. Apparently, I don't know if it's true, but I've been told by another driver that apparently Stagecoach actually went to court to try and stop this and failed. Like I say, I don't know if that's true. I've not seen anything to do with that. But as far as Brighton and Hove goes, my company, over the last year, they've invested really heavily in the coaching side of the company. So that just seems a bit of a coincidence given the timing, because obviously the bigwigs of these companies will have known about this for some time, and if it's true that Stagecoach did go to court to try and stop it, then obviously they've known for a long time. So what does that mean for us, the drivers? Not a great deal, I don't think. I think that if, and it is an if, it all moves over, then obviously the council are going to need drivers, the local authorities are going to need drivers to drive the routes. So it just mean a different employer, I suppose. I don't really know. It's very sunny. It's very peaceful as well. What is the time? Let's have a look. It's 9:15 on a Sunday morning. So it's very peaceful. And the sun's actually quite warm. So Widewater Lagoon, I believe, is a protected area. There's all sorts of wildlife down here. Apparently there's a spider called the wasp spider. The patterns on it look like a wasp. That's why it's called a wasp spider. But there's all sorts of birds and insects and lizards and all sorts down here. I believe that rock over there is part of the sea defences from the Second World War. So I was going to bring my camera, but I decided not to because it's quite cumbersome, and obviously I'm carrying this camera as well, and if I want to take a photo, I've got my phone, and the iPhone 15 is got a very good camera on it. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what to think about it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. As for the timescale, who knows? I think the way the government has been acting, they've been acting quite quickly with the trains, because they're renationalising the trains as well. So it's quite clear that they want all public transport back under government control. So yeah, they've only been in a couple of months, and already they've announced that they're renationalising the rail. They've already passed, well, I'm assuming it's passed, to be accurate, put legislation through Parliament to give local authorities power to run bus services. And it says that it's stage 1, so like passing the legislation was stage 1, so don't know what stage 2 will be. We'll find out at some point, I guess. So yeah, it's we're going to be in for some interesting times, I think. Is it going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I can't imagine it taking any longer than 5 years, because that's the term of the government, and they'll want it done before the next election. So certainly, I think within the 5 years of their government, I think we're going to see some big changes. Will the routes change? Who knows? I would imagine so, because there's a lot of overlap between routes, certainly within the city. Let's have a little sit here. Oh, the bench is wet, never mind, I'll get wet bum. Yeah, I think there's a lot of overlap between the routes. Like you've got the 5A, 5B, for instance. They're essentially the same route with little things on the end. I can see that changing, and routes like that. Maybe more express routes, because one of the reasons why people don't like using buses is they take so long, and the popularity of the 1X shows that people just want to get to where they're going. I think within the city there are too many bus stops. So, and with the development in Churchill Square as well, it's not what I would consider bus friendly now. Considering how many buses go through there, there's not a lot of space now. So I think you can get heading into Brighton, so as you're coming along Western Road on the left hand side, you can probably get one bus on each stop at a time. And on the other side, it's strange, they've just joined stop C and D, I think it is, which is the stop the 2s, 1s, 49s, 46s, 6s, and the 700 uses. That's now all one stop. And the 5s have got stop B, the one before, so that's actually quite a long stretch. Whether they'll move one or two of the routes from stop C to stop B, it would make sense, but I don't know if they will. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of room on the bus stops in Churchill Square now. So maybe that's a plan to have not so many buses go through Churchill Square. Who knows? It's a logical thought. So yeah, let's carry on down past the lagoon. I've got a wet bum now. Never mind. It'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. I'm not sure what it will mean for us, the drivers, in relation to terms and conditions, working environment, garages. I mean, Brighton and Hove have got what? We've got Conway Street, Whitehawk, Lewis Road, New Haven. So yeah, and also, like, we're talking every bus company in the country, so you've also got to consider Worthing as well. So will we be transferring between Worthing? Will like Conway Street, for instance, run services through to Worthing? Who knows? It also says that they want to serve areas that aren't currently served, so I'm not sure how that would equate down here, because I think Brighton and Hove in particular is really well served, probably overserved. So many services going to the same places, so I can see that changing if it goes national, or when. Yeah, I think it makes sense though, because it's a public service, isn't it? Like the trains and the buses, so it does make sense to have it in the public sector. Yeah, I don't know. Trouble is with me is I overanalyze things. Some of you might have noticed that I'm neurodiverse, so yeah, I do analyse things a lot. So it'd be interesting to see how many of my predictions actually happen. The £2 fare cap, for instance, as soon as they brought that in, immediately I said that's going nowhere. That'll be in for a long time, if it ever goes at all. And thinking on it, that also goes along with renationalising. Maybe that was stage one. Maybe that was the first step. I think with the trains they started imposing ticketing fares, didn't they? I don't know. I don't know too much about the trains. I don't know too much about the buses, to be fair. I tried to do a live a little while ago now. It's on the channel, and in the comments people were talking about the buses and that, and I just didn't have a clue what they're on about. I tried to keep up as best I could, but buses aren't my thing. I know how to drive them, that's about it. I couldn't tell you the difference between each one, unless it's got got it written on, like the Volvos and the what is it, Alexandra Dennis. That's as much as I know. Like the 800s we've got, no idea what they are. They keep getting called street deckers, but I don't know who makes them. I know they're horrible to drive. Oh yeah, that's another thing it says. They want better buses as well. Which, to be fair, isn't hard to get better buses, but yeah, they want better buses. So we are in for some changes, I think. This is down the end of Widewater Lagoon. Where those flats are over there is Shoreham Beach, the area of Shoreham Beach. Currently served by the 19 Compass route. And that's the thing, we used to do that at Conway. Like first thing in the morning, we used to go around Shoreham Beach. We used to have the 19. I never did it. It was on its own rotor, I think. So will we get routes like that back? Who knows? It would make sense. I think we're the closest. Will the current Stagecoach Worthing be running buses out of Stenning? Who knows? Will they do it like that? The closest garage to the route does that route? Who knows? Will we share routes? Will I be doing the 700s out of Conway Street? Right, down the end of the lagoon. Just turn around and walk back the other way. So yeah, I think that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Doing the other routes. I'm quite fortunate. I've worked for Stagecoach, as you know, and I sort of remember some of their routes, so it wouldn't be a big deal for me personally, or a few of the others that used to work at Stagecoach. Probably a bigger issue if drivers at Stagecoach are having to work within the city. But yeah, there'll be at least a couple of years, I'd have thought. I can't imagine they'd be able to do it too quickly. And how are they going to force it? Are they going to stop issuing operators' licences? Because it's the local authorities and the government that issue the operators' licences. So are they just going to stop issuing those to private companies and force the trade? I'd imagine there'll be a hefty compensation. So yeah, interesting times ahead. Yeah, it says after years of failed deregulation, so obviously the government aren't very happy with the way the private sector has been running the bus services. I know with COVID and things like that, and coming out of COVID, there was a national shortage of drivers, so bus services were all over the place. They're so unreliable. And I think maybe the Department for Transport were getting an excess of complaints about bus services. A lot of bus drivers complain about the companies they work for. It's one of those things though, isn't it? You always want it better. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is, you always want it better. And you sort of, I think it's human nature to look at the negatives, isn't it? It's very difficult to look at the positives sometimes. I generally look at the main argument and then I'll take myself away from that and look at the opposite side, and I try to go off facts more than anything else. I try not to be emotionally led, but sometimes that's a very hard thing to do, and it's certainly not the default. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think of this legislation? I'll see if I can put the link to it in the description below so you can have a read yourself. And it's not just rumour either, it's actually on the government website, so yeah. Interesting times ahead. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts in the description, in the comments below. Give the video a like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.